Sebastian Maniscalco.
My wife and I went to go see Hamilton.
Whoops.
The Wild's first Iowa native, his first Iowa Wild goal. Could be gone. Here comes Sammy. He scores!
Sebastian Maniscalco.
My wife and I went to go see Hamilton on Broadway.
It Ain't Right Tour 2024.
Oh my God, it is amazing. We saw it. Oh, it changed me it changed me. Now, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, I ain't gonna like this.
Sebastian Maniscalco, live on stage in Des Moines, Wells Fargo Arena, December 15th, 2024. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit sebastianlive.com.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere. From the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy. Connected by Cellular Advantage.
It is Murph and Andy. Welcome to Murph and Andy on Iowa Everywhere, along with Andy Fales and Andrew Downs. We call him AD. I'm Keith Murphy. We're glad to have you with us here. Andy, I got home at 12:45 a.m. Has Jared Goff thrown another interception?
Well, he threw a lot of interceptions, but so did C.J. Stroud. That's how the Lions got back in that game. That was an impressive Lions win. They were way down. They came all the way back. Still the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, you play that poorly, have that many turnovers, and still find a way to win. That's pretty impressive. Andy, I hear you have a new jersey. That's the word on the street. Not the state of New Jersey, but a new jersey slash sweater for your collection.
Sponsor in the Iowa Wild, and we know the Iowa Wild very well.
Sure.
We've been with them all along ever since they got here, and they have a special night coming up, and they have a special jersey to go along with it. So it's Veterans Appreciation Night. Andrew, go ahead and put up the banner here. That's coming up on Saturday. So it's a 6 p.m. game. And there is there's a special jersey. As you can see, look hard there. I've got it here in front of me. I've got the jersey. That is the Houston Aeros old logo, or a kind of a rendition of it that says Iowa Aeros. Houston Aeros were the old Houston minor league team that became the Iowa Wild. And so there you go. Kind of ties in the two things. And it ends up making a really kind of sharp jersey. I like that.
Yeah, I like that logo. That looks cool in the middle. And of course, Veterans Appreciation Night timing couldn't be better here on Veterans Day.
Yeah, and after the game, they're going to auction them off with all the proceeds going to the Boy Scouts, the Mid-Iowa Council Boy Scouts, so the local Boy Scouts. And this is a cool jersey to have. I mean, these are authentic jerseys. This is a NHL level jersey. First thing you check to make sure that is authentic is you look underneath and you see fight strap, baby. There it is.
Yeah.
The fight strap. You keep that on so the guy can't pull the jersey up over your head, pin your arms down to your sides and keep you from throwing. But then it's also got, kind of the little patch, the little authenticity patch sewn into the inside. This is a really sweet, absolute NHL level embroidered jersey that you can get after the game on Saturday.
Yeah, let me get mine. Oh, that's right. I don't have one.
Well,
how'd you get that?
What are you going to do with a hockey jersey?
AD,
right?
show us your Iowa Aeros jersey.
No, yep. I don't have one either.
Okay. All right.
Well,
we have some construction going on at the house here
I'll
today.
let you both touch mine.
Jeez, that could be taken out of context. We are having a fireplace put in the family room. And Sean, the handyman, he's here. He's putting it in. Andy, I think if Jenny can figure out a way to put a fireplace in every room in the house, it's going to happen before I die. I mean, every room. Just there, she will put a fireplace anywhere. She really needs to move to the south.
Is this like a gas fire place, or is
It
it?
is.
Oh, it is. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
it is.
real
This
flames.
won't be the as much as I'm sure you can picture me out chopping wood and bringing the wood in and building the fire with my hands. This will be a gas fireplace. We are in the Channel Seed Studios, brought to you by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. And coming up today on Murph and Andy, the Cyclones deflate optimism. The Hawkeyes look bad at the Rose Bowl Stadium again. And the Valley Dowling rivalry brings the funny and or profane. Andy, of course, for all of those listeners, longtime listeners, know that Andy is about as deep Valley Tiger as it gets. I mean, you're a Valley family.
Yep. We go way back, all the way back to like
last
2018.
Oh, 2018, that far back. Okay.
Well, I mean, we moved into the
realized.
school district. We've always been in the West Des Moines school district. We just moved into West Des Moines proper, and that really put the hook into me. I'm Valley Tigers all the way.
Yeah, you're a tiger. Interact on YouTube. Email is Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. And on X/Twitter, it's Murph_Andy. It's all powered by the Cellular Advantage. 32 local locations for the Cellular Advantage. $1,000 off a new smartphone for new customers, and add a line. Oh, there he is.
That's our man Rommel right there. You'll see him. He's the manager of the Urbandale location. Again, they do have locations all over the place, but Murph and I like to go to this one because it's close and because it's got Rommel, who is just the best at making a complicated sort of, well, it's kind of a stressful process, right? Switching to a new phone. And when you have a guy like that who makes it easy, you just don't want to ever go anywhere else. So we found a U.S. Cellular Advantage and Rommel, and we haven't ever gone anywhere else. And the good thing is he's usually in there running the shop when you go in.
And he's not just smiling for the cameras. Anytime I've ever seen Rommel, he is smiling. So we appreciate him. Time now for High or Low since our last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
It is presented by Wealth Charter in Ankeny, simplifying wealth. Andy, high or low on a Monday?
Hey, the guys at Wealth Charter are going to love this. Okay, so we started our week of no spending. We do this each year where we pull, like the Fales family gets on top of our financial situation. We take control. We spend zero money the entire week on anything. Now, I mean, if there's like, a subscription that renews or some automatic bill that comes in, well, then there's an exception, but don't do anything else. Don't go to the grocery store. Don't go out to eat. We don't shop on Amazon. None of that stuff.
Wow.
We just don't spend anything. We use the stuff that we've already got. We eat the food that we've already got. And that's the important thing is you forget how much food you actually have in your house, canned goods. Your freezer gets so full of stuff, you don't know what's in the back of it or anything like that. If you got
You start realizing how many duplicates of stuff you have. I have 9 cans of tomatoes.
Yeah, so you have to start, though. This is what kind of sucks about no spending week is you have to start with a deep cleaning of the refrigerator and freezer and pantry. And I did all of that on Saturday and Sunday. I took every shelf out, all the drawers out, washed them, everything, doors, freezer, everything, reorganized everything, threw a bunch of stuff out. But we have got so much food, and I cooked a bunch of food, got us set for the week. And I'm telling you, you do this, try to do this. Everybody should try to do this. The guys at Wealth Charter will just give you a big pat on the back. It will make you feel so good going into the holidays where man, you're just like a cash register, just spitting out money out every orifice in your body.
We haven't gone that far, but we do gift card weekends every couple of months, and that always feels good too because so many gift cards. You probably know the percentage from one of your more segments. It's something like 50% of gift cards don't get used.
Yeah, you can do that the week of no spending.
Yeah, just use the gift cards because those are given as presents. They're kind of the same as cash in many ways. And you forget them or you set them aside. Or worst case scenario, and this has happened to me a few times, the place has gone out of business. Yeah. And now you got that $100 gift card or something sitting there like, oh, man, why didn't I use it sooner? I am going to go low here instead of high. I'm proud of you for doing that. It sounds like a great idea. I hope that does I hope it does spark interest in other people to do that. But I'm going low here, and it's just Lucy pulling the football away again. I mean, that was such a bummer weekend for college football. Iowa came into the season with such high hopes, and it was framed by fans and some in the media who cover Iowa as basically the thought being college football playoff or bust. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be close to happening. And then Iowa State off to this best start in school history, 7-0, week off before Texas Tech, a slightly above average team, but you think 8-0 for the first time is about to happen. And then you look in a 2-win Kansas team in Arrowhead Stadium, which is essentially a neutral site. That could be 9-0, but it's not. It's 7-2, and though Iowa State is not mathematically eliminated, that was just a beatdown at Arrowhead, and it's just a bummer. I mean, it's just that kind of realization that once again, in the big month, in this new month with 12 teams in the playoff, in all likelihood, we're not going to get to be a part of it.
No, my sentiments exactly. It started off, and you did feel let's start off with Iowa. I mean, you felt really good going into that game. It was fun to have it on Friday night, and then by the end of the weekend, you're just like, all right, no more football, man, I'm out. It was just a total kick in the nuts weekend.
Oh man, and I mentioned this last night on Sound Off. I picked Iowa State and Iowa to win these games. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ann Seltzer thinks I had a rough weekend. I was way off, and I didn't just pick those out of like rooting interest. I thought that was what was going to happen, and I was wrong.
Well, I thought Iowa was going to win, but I knew that Iowa State was going to have a lot of trouble with Kansas, and that game was a lot worse than I thought. But, look, I mean, Kansas is more talented than their record. We saw that. I mean, Jaden Daniels is a legit good quarterback who's really hard to contain, really difficult for a defense like Iowa State's.
He was the better quarterback.
Yeah, he was, no doubt. And Iowa State is just on a downward trajectory right now. We have not seen them play good football in a while. And I don't know what's going on with Iowa because, I mean, it just seems like this season, some things that we felt like we could really count on with that defense, we can't.
Reality check weekend is what it was. Reality check weekend. All right, let's get the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Logier Heating and Cooling, where winter is coming. And this is kind of a continuation of the.
It keeps getting delayed, but it is coming at some point. We know it's in the mail. Not sure exactly what's holding it up, and we're not going to argue real hard, but winter will get here eventually.
This was kind of a 1-2 punch of just that feeling. I know it's silly, but just you can't have nice things because there's just so much hope and optimism from college football fans. And this happens to many football bases, but these were the two that drive everything here in the state, drive the most interest by far. And Rose Bowl Stadium, that again proved to be just a bad place for Iowa, and Arrowhead Stadium. Let's start with Iowa since it was Friday night. There's not one clear-cut, more important game here. It's a great scene.
Yeah, nobody's rushing to the front of the line saying, hey, talk about my team first.
Please, get to us first. But the Rose Bowl Stadium, it was pitch dark by the time it kicked off. But still, if you saw some of the photos from your friends or relatives, it is just a cool setting there. We knew many people out there, including our friend Bryce Miller. And it is one of those goosebump settings. Now, also, people who are used to tailgating at Iowa or Iowa State were reminded that a lot of these places kind of have lame tailgating. Like the Rose Bowl, UCLA, it's not a big tailgating scene there. Jenny and I have noticed this when we go to Arizona State. It's not fun tailgating there. It's just different. Like we are a little bit spoiled. And in the South, tailgating is a huge thing. It just is not that
Arizona
big
State,
a deal.
they're looking for tail at the tailgating.
Yeah, They are. And it's 105 degrees in the shade. So people probably don't want to stand out on a parking lot and tailgate. But Iowa's drought at Rose Bowl Stadium, we get this is not the Rose Bowl game. But Iowa has not won in that stadium since 1959, and that will continue. So let's get to the rewind here. Iowa does jump out to a promising early lead.
This has Caleb Johnson written all over it. Cuts it back left to right, fighting for the goal line. He's over. That's a touchdown. Touchdown, Iowa. Touchdown, Hawkeyes. They cash in on the Zach Lutmer interception, and it's 6-0.
Gary Dolphin, voice of the Hawkeyes, courtesy of Learfield. And Andy, this causes me to say, hey, Caleb Johnson belongs in this Heisman Trophy conversation. You know, he's not going to win it, but get him in there. He's about to have another big game. That was wrong. Just a promising start, but then he can't get going. He's got nowhere to run the rest of the game.
Yeah, the teams kind of trade bad possessions. Looks like Iowa, anytime Iowa scores early on, you just kind of feel good about the game, right? Because you're accustomed to the defense being able to kind of put the clamps down. And UCLA's quarterback just, he was flashing both directions, right? I mean, he would show a couple of really good passes and then a really bad decision that he would make. And, basically 2 drives ending in the end zone for them seemed like it was just giving Iowa way too much rope early in this game. And you felt good if you were a Hawkeye fan at that point.
And this is one of those nights where I'm preoccupied because it's a busy high school football playoff night and I'm running around and I'm scrambling. So I just keep getting these, like every 15 minutes or so, I get an update of what's going on. And there were some real drastic changes here that from an outsider's perspective who wasn't watching the game intently, I didn't understand really what was going.
Yeah.
And then I watch Instant Iowa here on Iowa Everywhere with Chris Hassel and AD. And, AD is drinking during the show. Hassel's got an old fashioned. I'm thinking
it's Friday night. Yeah.
AD's about to hit a vape or something. He looks so distraught.
Well, first of all, they would have been doing that anyway. I don't think that had anything to do with it. It ended up being the timing was maybe a little better for you.
Yeah, probably so. That was rough, man. It's I will say the good thing is I kind of get all the emotion out of my system. That could have really taken my weekend down, but I kind of got it all out on Friday night and was
cathartic.
Was able to process what I was feeling.
Yeah, it's cathartic for AD and Chris. In the second quarter, UCLA puts up 17 unanswered points on that Hawkeye defense.
But with a minute to go in the first half, UCLA still has the football. Garbers to throw. Open man caught at the 5-yard line. Touchdown. Touchdown UCLA. And the Bruins have the lead. My goodness.
My goodness is right. And by the way, how come UCLA can wear those pants and not quite look naked the way Iowa State did when they wore a similar pant?
I don't know, the lighting out there or something. I don't know.
Remember when the Cyclones looked like they were, many of them looked like they were pantsless out there.
Yeah, I like those uniforms, but they did. Yeah, they were kind of Band-Aid colored.
So that makes it, 17-10 at that point. And Brendan Sullivan, who created so much excitement just a week ago, he goes out with an injury, and Jackson Stratton comes into the game. Now, most people realize he's, depending on your source, the 4th or 5th string quarterback. We hear he was a linebacker on the scout team. I mean, by the end of this game, you're hearing things like, Jackson Stratton he was just out there tailgating at the Swarm bus, and they asked him, any way you could suit up? Did anybody here play high school football? And then he came in, and next thing you know, he's that it got a little out of control. This guy did play quarterback at Colorado State and entered the transfer portal.
You took one look at him in that game, and you're like, okay, this guy can play quarterback.
He wasn't pulled out of the stands, but he does come in. He leads Iowa on a touchdown.
Here's the snap to give to Moulton. He's into the end zone. A cutback right to left. Touchdown! Touchdown, Kamari Moulton. It's 17-16, UCLA.
Extra point good, so it's 17-17. And it's not a well-played game, and you have concerns about the Iowa defense, which had so many returning starters and so much promise this year. And even with Higgins out, it just didn't seem like the Iowa defense we've come to expect. But 17-17, this is anybody's game. I mean, it's right there.
Yeah, they're right. They're right even with it. They just need to be able to stop UCLA's running game, which you didn't have. Nobody was talking about that running game going in, and they looked great. And they were able to. That was, for the most part, the difference in the game. I mean, the fact that they were able to eat the clock with that running game, they were able to spread the field a little bit or open it up for their passing game and be able to pass just enough and then overcome those huge mistakes that they made also. They just ran the ball, which is, elementary football. But again, it's one of those things that we've been accustomed to just taking for granted with Iowa. Oh, yeah, a West Coast team is going to try to run the ball on Iowa's defense. Good luck with that. Well, they had good luck with that.
Yeah, dominated the line of scrimmage really on both sides of the ball, which was a real big surprise. Yeah. And then so similar to that Michigan State game a few weeks ago where Iowa's defense would be in position and would make the hit, but for whatever reason wouldn't wrap up, wouldn't be able to bring the guy down. You give up 4 to 5, 6 extra yards pretty much every time they either run or complete a pass. And it's just so frustrating as a Hawkeye fan who's gotten used to Iowa's defense. I mean, that's they give that cushion, they bend but don't break, and the reason they can do that is because when they hit you, you go down and they stop you. And that didn't happen on Friday night. It didn't happen against Michigan State. It's so bizarre how different this team looks on the road and at home. I don't really understand that.
The only attention UCLA's rushing game got before this game was in the sentence, UCLA has the worst rushing offense in the country. And Iowa could not stop it, could not make a stop. The offense scores again, field goal for UCLA.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, 2017. That's not
all
a play.
right. That's all right.
Just a dramatic pause. Just everybody think about it.
I remember. I remember it well.
20-17. Yeah. That's it. So here's Kirk Ferentz after the game.
Obviously a disappointing outcome for us. Just got done telling the team basically, one thing about football, you typically get what you deserve. And we certainly didn't play well enough to expect to win tonight, basically in any category. So disappointing. Just nothing really clicked for us. Nothing really looked great. And, so we'll turn the page.
I do think one of the frustrating things is it felt like a terrible game. It felt like Iowa was outplayed at every level, just like Kirk said there, disappointing every phase of the game. And you only lost by 3. And, you want to pin it all on the defense who, again, like I said, couldn't make tackles and got dominated on the line. But they only gave up 20 points. They forced a couple of turnovers. Like Andy said, 2 turnovers in the end zone. A defense who does that should be enough to win. And so that's, again, one of the frustrating things is, like, even though you didn't play well, it was right there for you, and you couldn't capitalize at the end.
Well, they lost their quarterback, and, that's – he was not having a great game before they took him out, but he was just getting hit hard repeatedly.
He was getting rocked.
And again, that's just something else that we're not accustomed to seeing with the Iowa team. First, because their offensive line is usually too good to let that happen. And then second of all, because the Iowa quarterback usually doesn't run outside the pocket where he can get hit like that. So he was getting hit. He was getting rocked. He got hit hard with a really clean shoulder-to-shoulder hit that it was like 2 hits. Defender hit him hitting the ground. And those are just, I don't know, it was a game that it checked you down as a fan, where it reminded you that at this level, you really can't take things for granted. And this team is not good enough to take for granted. It's just not. We've just seen things from this team repeatedly this year that have reminded us that this season is not last season, right? This defense may look similar, still Phil Parker, but it's not last year's defense. It's not the year before's defense. It's a different unit. They're different players. It's a different chemistry. And yeah, Andrew's right. When they go on the road, this team, this defense especially does look different. You're right. They did play well enough to win this game. But without a good effort from the starting quarterback and then having to switch that quarterback and then absolutely nothing from the running game from Caleb Johnson. They shut him down. That was UCLA is hanging their hat on this win, guys, and they weren't thinking, oh, if we can just beat Iowa going into this season. I mean, they're right now, they're like, damn, here's what we did. Let's look back at some of the other teams that have tried to do what we just did against Iowa and have failed miserably. We did both of those things.
Tim Lester, the new offensive coordinator, has undoubtedly improved Iowa's offense, but there's still some aspects of it that just look outdated. The schemes look a little outdated. The development of a major college quarterback is certainly outdated. Brendan Sullivan has shown promise, certainly more than Cade McNamara, but maybe Cade McNamara is going to start in 2 weeks against Maryland. We just don't know, but you got to get more out of that position. And the difference in a 10 or 11 win Iowa team and a 7 or 8 win Iowa team is usually winning or losing these close games. And in this case, Iowa lost this close game to an average football team. But I think the real frustrating part for Hawkeye fans is they just wanted, even though it's not the Rose Bowl, just to go into that stadium and win for a change. I mean, most Hawkeye fans can't remember Iowa winning a game in that incredible stadium, and they still haven't. I mean, they haven't won since I was alive. And I'm older than you guys. It's been a long time. It's been since 1959 since they've won in that stadium. And then I noticed, too, that Kirk Ferentz's postgame frustrated a lot of people. But I do remind those that may have not been in a football locker room, like what Kirk Ferentz says to his team and the coaches might be different than what you're hearing at the podium. I know you kind of want to hear the
Jim
manager.
Mora. Yeah.
Or the manager from Major League where he just goes in and scares everybody by throwing the bats into the shower and tries to get everybody's attention by showing how frustrated he is. But that's just not Kirk Ferentz. He's not going to do that. And they just many fans would like to see a little more fire out of him. And a lot noted how tired he looked.
Yes,
and he did. He did. He looked worn out by that game. And I understand why. Let's move over to Arrowhead Stadium, another place that one of our teams was trying to win for the first time. Now, Iowa State hasn't played at Arrowhead Stadium as much as Iowa's played at the Rose Bowl Stadium, but I don't think Iowa State has ever won in Arrowhead. Is that correct?
They lost to K-State, lost to Florida State. I'm trying to remember any other games they would have had
I did
there.
see that this weekend.
Okay.
They still have never won at
This
Arrowhead.
might just be the third game, not positive on that. It's technically a home game for Kansas. And by the way, I also got that wrong. I thought Iowa State fans would equal or outnumber Kansas fans. That wasn't even close to being the case. I give Kansas fans credit. And I know, like when Mark Freund and Kobe Gaines showed up around tailgating time, they're like, man, Iowa State fans have Kansas fans outnumbered 10-1 or 20-1 or something like that. Was not that way in the stadium. So maybe Kansas fans just don't tailgate. I don't know. But things started great for the Cyclones, who got a stop on defense for the first time in 5 games. So a really good sign to begin. And then the Cyclones go on a 99-yard drive.
Rocco from the shotgun looks to his right, fires that way for the end zone for Knoll. Over the shoulder catch and a Cyclone touchdown. The Kansas City native, Jalen Knoll.
That audio of John Walters on the Cyclone Network, courtesy of Learfield. The video from Mark and Kobe from WHO TV 13. And Andy, you could not ask for a more promising start if you're a Cyclone fan.
No, you got the defensive stop, and then you go 99 yards on that scoring drive. Completed just an absolutely perfect pass from Rocco Beck to Jalen Knoll. It's just perfect. Everything looks like it's clicking at that point. And then the Jayhawks got the ball back.
The Cyclones just could not slow down the Jayhawk offense.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores. Mr. Unstoppable today.
That makes it 28-10. And we know how good of a defensive coordinator John Haycock is. And we know that he knows defense a lot more than the three of us combined. And I have to assume at this point that he is well aware that this 3-man front is not working. There's no pressure. There's not enough athleticism on the edges for containment. but he must not have a better option with the injuries that have hit that Iowa State defense. Or I have to believe he would change to something else because that's not working.
That's the hardest part as a fan, and Iowa fans know this too, as they're watching, the Iowa offense in the past few years. You look at a unit and you're like, I don't understand why you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And, this is John Haycock's defense. This is the way that he does it. And oftentimes they have a bad first half or a first half that scares you. But they come out in the second half, they make a bunch of adjustments, and you feel stupid for doubting him in the first half. I mean, we've had fun with this for a long time. But lately, that adjustment has not come. The last two games, that adjustment has not come. And in this case, Iowa State just got way too far down in the first half for any halftime adjustment to be able to make enough of a difference. But I don't know, just watching, you're like watching this 3-man rush against a quarterback who is really mobile and a very good passer. He's got all kinds of time to just sit there and wait. And then Iowa State's defense the last two games has not played that well either. They have been in a slump. Where in the past, those defensive backs have been able to make up for the fact that Iowa State has not been able to get much of a pass rush. And they've just locked down and continued to cover these receivers as they ran around. They were not able to do that. Jaden Daniels was able to drop back, had a little extra time. He could check down 1-2 receivers and then throw to a guy that was wide open.
I know.
And you were just like, how in the world is that guy that open? Well, he's been letting him just basically run around and play playground football for the last 10 seconds.
Jalen Daniels reminded us how good he is. The Cyclones way behind and going to need something really special to happen, but it goes the other way.
Looking to throw. And it's intercepted. Mello Dotson with the pick. And he takes it all the way back.
God, even the Fruit Loops bird there is dancing as Kansas wins it 45-36. It wasn't that close. I mean, it's it actually is that close. That's what goes in the books, 45-36. But that late touchdown by Iowa State made it feel a little bit more in doubt than it actually was. Cyclone players and coaches after the loss.
Yeah, I mean, that's unacceptable. Defensively, we can't allow that. It's just tough on the team. We can't let that happen, and we're not going to let that happen again.
Personally, I didn't play well enough tonight for us to win, I just got to be better. All the leaders on defense, we just got to be better.
We just weren't able to sustain it against this offense, and so, our offense has got to help our defense out at times. Our special teams, I thought, played really good again tonight, but again, we've got to find a way, and no excuse. And the reality of it is nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We got to get it fixed and we got to be better.
It's deflating, all the work that you put in to get to 7-0. And then those two losses come out like that. It's tough to move on, but we have a bunch of leaders in our locker room that are resilient, and we'll put this aside and we'll focus day in, day out, and work on the next day.
Nice job there from Mark Freund and Kobe Gaines. Thank you for that video. And I think Rocco Beck used the right word. They're deflating. Mm-hmm. Deflating across the board for the two big fan bases in the state.
Yeah. They're deflated right now and wondering, what. I mean, at this point, you're kind of wondering what's left of the season, what you can still salvage, and they can still have a lot of fun. I mean, don't forget, Hawkeye fans, don't forget just how much better you felt last week at this time than you felt the week before. But, both of these teams have, let's start with Iowa State. I mean, there's some fundamental things wrong with this team right now. This team is nowhere near the team that they were several weeks ago. They're just not playing well in most facets of the game. They're just not.
They've regressed.
They've absolutely regressed. The defense is not playing well at all. And I can only assume Carson Hansen's ankle is bad and he's hurt, because I do not understand why he isn't carrying the ball twice as many times as he is per game. He was tackled for a loss at one point in this game against Kansas. I think that's the first time I've seen that this season, where he's tackled for a loss. Other than that, he's still by far your best running back. It's not close. And yet he's not even in there. He's not even in there as a decoy all that often. I don't get it. I can only assume, again, these coaches know way more than I do, can only assume that he is banged up. His ankle or something else is still hurting him too much, because it doesn't make any sense to me. And, this team, it's so hard to have your hopes at a 10 and get checked all the way down to a 5 at this point of the season, where they still have a lot of games left. There's still things that can happen in front of them that could help them. But at this point, this team doesn't have any business looking any farther ahead in the season than their very next game. I mean, they've just got to figure some things out, or they could lose the rest of the games on their schedule if they're playing like this.
Cincinnati, and it is a 7 p.m. game on Fox, a mid-November 7 p.m. game. Now, the good news is, Ed says the weather for the time of year is actually going to be warmer than it usually is. So you're not getting that brutal cold night, but still, most of the fans I hear from are sick of these night games. They think it's way too many for Iowa State, even too many for Iowa. But you're taking these hundreds of millions of dollars, you are going to play when the network says you play. You don't get to control that anymore. You play when they tell you to play. That's the deal you're making, and it kind of stinks, but everyone wants the money. Quickie poll from WCI Pools and Spas.
Iowa State has 3 regular season games remaining. How many of the 3 will the Cyclones win? 3, 2, 1, or 0?
That never before 10-win season which seemed like a lock a few weeks ago, is now very much in doubt, I think. And Iowa State and Vanderbilt are the only 2 programs that have never won 10 games. I mean, Indiana right now is 10-0. This feels like 1 to me, but I don't know. I just don't know if Iowa State can steer out of this skid. As you said, Andy, better just worry about Cincinnati right now. That's no lock.
Yeah, and if you win that game, it's against Cincinnati, and you look good, then suddenly you feel really good about the 2 games after that. But right now, I mean, I don't feel good about the way this team is playing. I don't feel good about this team right now. So I'm going to say 1 and feel pretty safe there. I don't know which one. None of them are unwinnable. We know that. But if they play like this, they could be unwinnable.
And it's really close. It could not be more close to a 3-game losing streak. I mean, that was a damn near miracle to pull that out against UCF. It was 99.9% chance of losing, and Iowa State won that game. So it's been a downward trajectory for a while here. BYU in the Big 12 stayed unbeaten. The Cougars come from behind at Utah. That's a big rivalry, one we're not that familiar with, but we'll get more familiar with over the years. The Cougars were helped tremendously by a penalty on a 4th down that would have all but ended the game and given the upset win to Utah. It was the right call, which has kind of gone ignored by Utah fans. But Utah AD Mark Harlan went full sore loser.
Been an athletic director for 12 years. This game was absolutely stolen from us. We were excited about being in the Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game. Someone else stole it from us. Very disappointed. I will talk to the commissioner. This was not fair to our team. I'm disgusted by the professionalism of the officiating crew tonight.
Wow. Disgusted. By the way, the commissioner has publicly reprimanded Harlan and fined him, I think it's $40,000. So he's in the moment. He's emotional. He's in the moment. We've seen other athletic directors do this. We've seen Jamie Pollard in the moment like that with emotion, kind of fighting for his people. But man, the Big 12 did not like that.
No, this is a coach, right? I mean, this is the leader of the team. This is somebody that is supposed to be above this kind of stuff. I mean, you have to gather yourself before you go in there. Hey, look, the fans probably like this. We understand who his audience really is, fans and the team. But how does this play to the rest of the nation? I mean, you look like a baby. You look like a sore loser. You look like somebody who does not deserve to be influencing people and saying, telling other people that you've got to keep things in perspective and, learn from your mistakes and move on and not blame others. We've all watched a football game before that's got, a whole bunch of different points in the game where, if you'd done one thing differently, you would have won the game, and, things that were in your control that you didn't control, and to blame it on one thing, one other thing, it makes you look like you can't see the big picture.
Utah's been kind of whiny. We've noticed that. Dowling Valley again in the state semifinals. That's coming up Friday, the 5A semifinals. Now, parents of this young girl sent me this photo. Now, she is writing a letter to her brother who plays for the Dowling Catholic Maroons. I mean, that's so sweet. AD, can you get a close-up of the letter? And Andy, will you read what you can on this letter, please?
I am so happy you made it to state. I bet you are going to beat those assholes. Beat those assholes. Hell yeah. Jeez.
Wow. Wow. So one of the funny things you can imagine
is one word.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, it's
take a red
something
pen
to be learned later. Sure. The corrections can be made. So this won't surprise you that people are very divided in their reaction to this. Some think it's, adorable and funny and sweet. And some people are just absolutely flabbergasted that some, little girl would write this down or that the parents would find humor in it. But one of the things I did find humor in is Valley's AD, Brad Rose, answered on Facebook to this photo. She doesn't even know me. That's funny.
Well, Brad Rose is a good guy.
Yeah,
I like him a lot, and I've been friends with him for a long time. He's a good dude, and this is a high school rivalry. She's writing with a purple marker, right? And isn't that black? That's tripping me up more than anything. That and the fact that she didn't realize assholes is one word.
Well,
you got to at least hyphenate it.
Still learn that is a maroon cap. Maybe
and I think hell should be capitalized. I need to go through this.
Yeah. Can we get you a red pen and go
right
through this, make some corrections?
I never thought I'd be rooting for Dowling, but I agree with this little girl.
Come on now.
Hey, this is a game. This is a game that we wanted to see again. I mean, it is. This was a really close, kind of fluky game way early in the season. It always seems like these two teams play way too early in the season. We saw both of these teams in Football Friday primetime. The night that Valley was at Waukee Northwest, Zay Robinson seemed like the best player in Dallas County, let alone that stadium that night.
He dominated that game.
He was phenomenal. He's so good. And Dowling is not its typical dominant self, but still just a really good fundamental football team. It's really, really well coached, and Tom Wilson totally knows what he's doing, and that coaching staff has been together for a really long time. I mean, this is just this is a real flashy team against just kind of a fundamental team, and I'm fine with seeing them play again.
I'm here for it. Southeast Polk is not dead yet. Back in the semifinals, a 3-time defending champs. Jeez. Now here's legendary local broadcaster Scott Casper during the Barnstormer glory days.
Let's get it going here. Let's get it going. It's like the Iowa Energy, but with actual fans. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Get them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, how's that feel? Hey, welcome to Des Moines, douchebag. If you're lucky enough to be sitting in an empty seat tonight, you're qualified for a free tire rotation at Jiffy Lube. And that reminds me, I need some lube for my pipe. Somebody bring down a cold one in a jiffy. Now that's what I'm talking about. I don't want to overstate it here, but if you ain't a Barnstormer fan, your life is meaningless. Todd's wife getting it done. Not bad for a guy that's never played in front of this many people at a football game before. Now that's what I'm talking about. Well, somebody please get this scumbag off the field. We're the Barnstormers, baby, and we're gonna f you up.
Y'all ready for this?
How about those storm chasers? Yeah, that's right.
I think that all came about just because we had that Barnstormer helmet, right?
I think it
We're
did.
like, we got to do something with this helmet.
The inspiration for a bit can be as simple as,
Yeah.
have we done anything with this helmet? Let's do something with this helmet. Todd Blythe caught that touchdown.
Yeah,
Somehow I've
a
forgotten
long time ago,
that. Man.
Yeah.
All right, time now for Throwdowns on Murph and Andy.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Heartland Tire and Auto. Is that Kelly?
That's Kelly. Yeah, he's the manager there at the Hawkeyes location. But again, they've got 5 Central Iowa locations.
Yeah.
And they've all got a good manager. That's what Travis Thompson says that's the secret to business. Find a good manager and then pay him well, take care of him, and let them run that location for a really long time. So it's kind of the same deal no matter which Heartland Tire and Auto location you go to. It's the same dudes all the time. They get to know your name, get to know your cars.
I feel like Kelly's getting a lot of airtime here.
He does.
Lately. He's probably going to his head a little bit. All right, AD, throw it down.
All right, let's do it. Andy, Iowa lost again at the Rose Bowl. Iowa State lost again at Arrowhead Stadium. Which venue is more cursed for our teams?
The Rose Bowl is more cursed. I mean, it's such a long trip out there. There's always so much fanfare. I mean, usually it's been the Rose Bowl itself that they've been playing in, so hopes are really, really high, and some of the teams that have been out there have been just some of the most storied in that entire franchise history, and then some of the defeats have just been epic. Like, I mean, they were some of the most crushing defeats in the history of the program. Iowa State has had some close losses down there. They haven't been there all that much. But the fact that you should be able to go down and take over that stadium, make it a home game, and then will your team to win, and they haven't been able to do that, that's been confounding too.
Well, as you know, AD, curses aren't real, but it's been
starting to
more. It's been more than just the better team won the game at the Rose Bowl. So there is something there. Like, Iowa was a pretty solid favorite in that Ronnie Harmon game in that Rose Bowl where he fumbled 4 times and dropped the open touchdown catch. So yeah, it's a much bigger deal that Iowa hasn't won at Rose Bowl Stadium since 1959.
All right, Murph, a loss to Missouri dropped Oklahoma to 5-5 on the season in their first year in the SEC. They've got games against Bama and LSU remaining on the schedule. Will the Sooners make a bowl game?
Not with 6 wins. They might get invited anyway, because I think we're moving to an era here where some programs will consider just not even accepting a bowl invitation. The transfer portal is what's going to matter to the teams that aren't in the 12. It's going to be, what do we do to get better for next year? It's not going to be, how do we go win the Liberty Bowl? I mean, players are going to be opting out. Coaches are going to be preoccupied. Fans aren't going to care. The only one that cares is ESPN for the programming.
Yeah, I don't think so. It doesn't look like it at this point, and I can't imagine Oklahoma fans being excited enough about just a really lame bowl game. I mean, they've been to the greatest games. That's not enough to get their attention. So I don't know. This has been a disastrous first year for them. We haven't seen this team like this in a long, long time. Clearly, their coaching change has not worked as well as maybe everybody was hoping it would. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're the Nebraska of the SEC. They're showing that potential.
Right now they are this season, yeah.
And Oklahoma fans not getting excited for a mid-tier bowl. I mean, most of what I saw on social media this weekend during the Iowa and Iowa State game were our fans not being excited for mid-tier bowl games. So
shouldn't be.
It's things have changed.
I see Matt Van Winkle and some other Cyclone fans trying to pump themselves up with the possibility of the Pop-Tart Bowl. But even that awakening novelty of, the Pop-Tart sacrificing his life at the end of the game and that kind of stuff. It's not going to be as cute this time. And neither is having mayonnaise dumped on your head, unless it's John Sears. No one's going to get that excited about that either.
Now, maybe a rubber match against Memphis in the Liberty Bowl.
Oh, gosh, anything but the Liberty Bowl.
No.
Shut it down if it comes to that.
All right, Murph, if they haven't already, people are going to be dealing with their leaves in their yard over the next couple of weeks. How do you deal with the leaves in your yard?
We've always called the Lawn Ranger. And the Lawn Ranger comes over with a team of like a 12-person sweep that takes about 30 minutes, and they're all gone. And then Hi-Yo Silver, the Lawn Ranger leaves.
I've got a system. So I
Of
let
course you
them
do.
all fall down. I
Yep.
let them all fall down. And the problem is oak trees can take until January, but
Yeah.
you got to get as many oak leaves down as possible. And then you want to leave them on the ground for at least a week so they dry out and get rid of a lot of the pulp inside. Then you drive over them with your lawnmower a bunch of times until the tube gets all plugged up. So the lawnmower just grinds up the leaves real fine. And then you clear out the tube, put the bagger back on there, and then you suck it all up, and you got a nice clean lawn for the rest of the winter.
Well, that definitely sounds like it sucks.
It does suck, but I mean, the good thing is like you that's the last time, right? I put the mower in the shed. It doesn't see the light of day until Jeff from P&P Small Engine comes and picks it up in the spring to give it a tune-up.
Jeez, okay.
All right, let's Throwdowns.
That is Throwdowns. Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. And look at this, the Advent calendar box of beers.
What
Explain
is that?
this, Andy, the beer a day.
Yeah, they have an advent calendar, beer a day.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything
idea.
about this.
Yeah,
It's
and so
$110.
it is.
So it's
because I guess what it'd be 20.
it's a lot of beers.
25 beers.
Yeah. You commit to
is-
this.
Yeah,
Special edition. And it's just this is a good topic. Like somebody comes
Yeah.
over, they're like, hey, how are you celebrating Christmas? Well, we got the beer a day Advent box. Huh?
yeah.
There you go.
5 more beers to go until we celebrate the birth of the baby Jesus.
All right.
That's a good idea.
Don't want to skip by this. We want to remind everybody about our Grimaldi's fan photo. You send in a photo of you, your family, friends, whoever, just having fun at any kind of sporting event. Can be of any age, any sport. Send it in, and each Friday we pick a winner for the $50 Grimaldi's Coal Brick Oven Pizza gift card. Spend it any way you want there at Grimaldi's in West Des Moines.
Hey, is this our man Chris Scram?
This is actually Steve Glenn from the week before.
Oh, okay.
You remember he was dressed as the Hawkeye or Hayden Fry and Ted Lasso.
That's it.
He's a teacher. He dresses up for and then he shaves the mustache, obviously, after Halloween. But yeah, they went this weekend, so they needed to kind of get rid of some of the college football bad vibes that they had gotten on Friday and Saturday, and went over to Grimaldi's. I think they went to the West Des Moines location.
That's awesome.
That's me at Grimaldi's right there. I don't even get to the salad before I just start housing the pizza.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, send us those pictures. We love them. Grimaldi's loves to see the Murph and Andy show participants there. That's fantastic. Looks like he had a good time.
Love those black and white photos all over the place, too. Now, let's get some more on a Murph and Andy Monday.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
All right, Either Or Eatery and Patio. We know where they are, 6222 Grand Avenue in Des Moines, technically, but right on the border of Des Moines and West Des Moines. Well, it is, there we go. Oh, yes, let's break this thing out. It's time. So coming up at Either Or, the new pop-up theme bar is called Tinsel. They're going to decorate the whole place in vintage Christmas decor. And as you can see, they've got kind of a daily, they've got some daily activities going, not daily, but a bunch of activities going on. Too many to read here. We'll kind of go over these things as we go along, but you can still book a holiday event there if you like. You can see here. We'll go over this in the next few days. Okay, it is Veterans Day. This holiday is celebrated each year on November 11th, which is the anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I.
Thank you, veterans.
Yeah, Veterans Day originally started off as Armistice Day in 1919, but in 1954, President Eisenhower changed the name to what it is today. So this commemoration became a legal holiday through an act of Congress in 1938. It is a day to celebrate all veterans, not just those who died in battle. That's Memorial Day. And Memorial Day is not to celebrate all veterans. That's Veterans Day. Sometimes people get them confused.
They do.
The new season of Yellowstone finally began last night. Actually, it's part 2 of season 5. I watched this when I got home last night.
I think I'm out. Like Costner's not in it, right?
Yeah, give it a chance. It was a good
show's
episode.
gotten increasingly more ridiculous, though. Like shootouts in the middle of Main Street. People are dead and no one's arrested.
I started binging this while I was in the hospital over the summer, and I got through like the first 3 seasons in like a few days, just ate it all up. And I realized about 3 episodes into season 4, like, okay, I feel like I've gotten everything I need out of this show already. I don't really care what happens to anybody anymore.
It started out with that
let this go.
modern Western Sopranos feel. Like, man, this is great. And then it just, to keep it going, it just got more and more ridiculous.
You two are
and
just
now
taking
no Costner.
crazy shit all over this
The
thing.
visuals are incredible. Some of my favorite parts are like the montages of just the cow hands like doing their work in a day.
Hang on.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So I will say that my favorite part of the show now is just I'm sick of the romances, Casey and his wife, and there was always such angst, and Beth Dutton and Rip, even though everybody loves Rip. Beth Dutton is a lot. Wow. She's a lot. She is a lot.
She's a lot.
And I get tired of watching them. I just really like kind of watching the Cowboys. And the good thing is that the new season is really, it's clearly going to have more of the Cowboys in it because they've moved the herd down to the panhandle of Texas to winter over down there. And that's partially because Taylor Sheridan is, basically moving everything down there to his 4-6's ranch. He owns that down there. And then they're getting away from Kevin Costner. Now, he is kind of in the first episode there. You find out what's happened to him. It's a shocker just to kind of start it off, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, he's gone. He's not in the series anymore, so something's got to happen to him. But give it a chance. Watch that first episode. Check it out. It might just be enough to keep you going. I think it is. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I thought it was a good one. 49 years ago today, search crews were sent out onto Lake Superior to search for survivors from the Edmund Fitzgerald. It had sunk the previous day in a massive storm. The sinking took the lives of all 29 men on the ship and became immortalized in Gordon Lightfoot's song.
With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty.
It's such a whiny song, but I guess it should be. It's so whiny.
You don't like that song?
It's so whiny.
I love that song. No, you're not whining. You're just going.
It's repetitive, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like two chords. I mean, it just kind of keeps going back and forth. But we
get it.
Words,
the ship sank. People died. Get over it. Come on, Edmund.
It was crazy. I hate having to cut off good music for the sake of YouTube, though. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah,
all right.
YouTube. Although in this case, thank you, YouTube.
Jeez. An update on ABC's The Golden Bachelorette.
Oh, good.
There is another Iowa connection, right? I mean, both of these shows, The Golden Bachelor and now The Golden Bachelorette, have had an Iowa connection. In this case, the connection is Jonathan Roan of Oakland, Iowa. He is not a finalist, but late last week, Roan appeared on The Golden Bachelorette's Men Tell All special. After being cut by Bachelorette Joan Vassos early in the season, Jonathan has moved on with his life. He's got a girlfriend. He's very happy, although he's still a little miffed at why he didn't make the cut on the show. I mean, he's a successful businessman. He's a good dancer. And despite being in his 60s, he can run a 5K, he can do 100 push-ups, and he can hang 3 shirts on his boner. From the files of some headlines don't need stories, we bring you this. Man arrested after intoxicated rampage at strip club. Come on, you want to hear more about this? Michael
I do.
Todd.
Sorry, I'm
This guy
still on The Bachelor.
This guy. This was at the Excess Gentlemen's Club in that hotbed of adult entertainment, Evansville, Indiana, where Michael Todd got drunk and refused to pay his tab after his card was declined. Police found Todd shouting in the parking lot where he resisted arrest, then fought with officers, ending with an officer's hand injury. That's never good. Todd reportedly caused extensive damage inside the club, including damaging restrooms, jumping on someone's car, and one stripper says Todd pulled her hair and licked her without consent.
Got to get consent before licking someone.
Oh, you want to lick? It's at least $20 a lick. An engaged couple was trying to figure out whether to hyphenate their last names or just keep their individual last names, and they came up with a unique approach, they think. So bride-to-be Danielle Bonadonna. Danielle Bonadonna. Danielle Bonadonna. She turned to TikTok to talk it out and has revealed that she and her fiancé, Jacob Bartlebaugh, will let the loved ones at their wedding decide. Now, they are tying the knot in February. There they are. That's them. Ooh. All right.
They look the same.
They kind of look the same. Only one has a neck beard.
I think it's from the TikTok video where like she plays both parts. That's
okay. She's fooling around. Oh, she's fooling around. Okay.
I'm
Thank
really,
God. Their kids are gonna.
Yeah. The kids are coming out of the womb with glasses on.
Yeah, they're gonna look exactly the same. So they're getting married in February, and guests who are there, their wedding party is going to be. They're going to take a vote, and they are going to get to decide what they do with their last names. So this all started when Danielle made it clear to Jacob that she loves her last name and she would like to keep it. He said, let's just hyphenate our names. But it took them about 2 seconds to realize that Bonadonna Bartlebaugh would be a tongue twister, to say the least.
Yeah.
But it will be one of the options for the wedding party come February. What will apparently not be an option is the traditional route of the bride taking the groom's last name. Bonadonna Bartlebaugh.
That's a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I be the first to introduce you tonight to Mr. and Mrs. Bonadonna Bartlebaugh. What does that sound like? It sounds like a kid's rhyme or Michael Finnegan Begin Again or something, doesn't it?
It sounds like one of your friends,
like either a
friends that
nursery
you grew
rhyme
up with.
Yeah, tongue twister. Or, yeah, it does sound like one of your childhood friends.
Yeah, like if Rob Hammerschmidt's sister married Jason Wagon-Connect, the Wagon-Connect Hammerschmidts.
Hang on, Wagon-Connect?
Yeah. Yeah, Jason Wagon-Connect.
Okay.
He's a year older than me. Rob Hammerschmidt, who could be listening right now.
Probably is.
What if Rob Hammerschmidt was on The Golden Bachelor? He'd be the Golden Hammerschmidt. All right.
He's got the early lead right there.
I'm going to stop here. All right. That's your more, everybody.
All right.
Do you like The Golden Bachelorette? Do you like The Golden Bachelorette? Does that make you want to watch that now?
No, it doesn't make me want to watch it.
Rome.
I can't believe that guy's in his 60s, though.
Yeah, he looks good. Did you hear all the good stuff that he can still do? That guy, Father Time.
I heard more than I wanted to, yes.
Yeah.
Sponsor shout out of the day is Hoodoo. Hoodoo is our sponsor shout out of the day because a veteran owns the company, and it is Veterans Day. So
it's not Scott Sipker.
No, Scott Sipker is not the veteran. He is part of the company, but he's not the primary owner. And they are really, Sipker's really pushing the Christmas lights. Who do it?
Yeah, he's got a video out there where he's attempting to decorate somebody's house.
He's just throwing strings of lights at trees, basically, is what he does in the video.
Yeah, but I mean, like Des Moines, your neighborhood, your house. I mean, some of those houses look amazing when they're all decorated for Christmas. I mean, they look like a gingerbread house.
Yeah, we're not too far from one of those neighborhoods where people line up for blocks just to go in there and circle around. There's always
Would you want to be in one of those
house
neighborhoods
in there that doesn't take part?
Yeah. Oh yeah, assholes. Have that little girl write them a note.
With 2 words or 1 word? Because the meaning is different, right? 1 word, 2 words.
Well, it was like, you guys are a bunch of ass. And at that point, I thought I had no idea where she was going. I was like, you can go ass faces, ass noses, ass monkeys. She went with holes, so.
Went with holes. It is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Squared.
It's powered by Game Day Men's Health in Ankeny, West Des Moines, over in North Liberty on the eastern side of the state. Heard Hassel talking, scaring people away from game day again this morning on 2 Guys.
Did he talk about the tip again?
He didn't, but he was talking about electrocuting. Listen to that show if you didn't hear it. Actually, don't listen to that part because there's nothing scary about game day. I go there every week. They're friendly. They've got smiles on their faces.
It's easy.
It's great. I'm feeling
better. They've got
better.
snacks.
I feel great. I stayed up till like 1 a.m. on Friday, I guess Saturday morning, because we had to do Instant Iowa after the Iowa UCLA game, and I didn't have any like afternoon caffeine, and I was wide awake. I was drinking the Jameson like a fish. Game day allowed me to do all that. I appreciate it. The New Orleans Saints guys started 2-0. You remember I asked you, I think on Throwdowns, like, hey,
right.
Is this a legitimate team? Well, they weren't. They lost the next 7 games, fired Dennis Allen last Monday. Well, they won yesterday, and after the game, interim head coach Darren Reese gave us a little TMI.
No, man, I'm a pretty open guy, so this is how my day started. I get down here to the stadium, I get down here to Superdome, I go in the head coach's locker room, which, I've never used before, right? So here I am early in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and this is how my day started. I clogged the toilet. And I'm like, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended. And so listen, I'm like, okay, this is not really a great start to the day. Here we go. And so, I'm not really feeling like a head coach of an NFL team right now. So, so I'm like, really? This is really how we're going to start my day? So
I think he was hoping for a bigger laugh than that.
Yeah, he clogged the toilet. Like that's his first press conference. That's how we learn who he is. I clogged the toilet. By the way, we got a good question here, Andy, from Marty Neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Who won the vibrator races
I don't know.
Friday night?
I didn't hear
I
back.
haven't heard anything.
Nobody reported from the what is that? The short-sided sparrow. What's the name of that bar?
Something Sparrow. Do you think no one went from?
Come on. Are you kidding?
Somebody went.
Somebody went.
Somebody went. We'll try to get those results. Quickie poll results in the meantime, presented by WCI Pools and Spas.
Iowa State has 3 regular season games remaining. How many of the 3 will the Cyclones win? 45% are still feeling pretty good about 2 more wins. 32% say 1. 14% say 3, and 9% say they're done winning. Hope that's not the case.
Me too. I don't know how this is going to play out. I do know Iowa State is going to really have to push tickets this week to get another sellout. And this team they've had a good season, especially relative to Iowa State's history. They're still 7-2, and there are still some things out there. But 7 p.m. mid-November game, I'm sure that's not what Iowa State wants after all. The night game novelty has long since worn off, especially for mid-November. It's not even 6:30, it's 7. So I would expect we're going to see some offers from Iowa State to try to entice people to come in and watch this game.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have to offer too much. I mean, this is still a great season for Iowa State, and there is still a lot left on the table. And look, man, I mean, we all bitch and moan about the end of football season when it gets here. When's football season going to come back? Well, it's here now, right?
It's here now.
And you got a good team in front of you, so go to the game.
All right. That is this Monday's Murph and Andy. Thank you so much for being with us. It's local sponsors supporting local media here on Iowa Everywhere. You can help us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your Iowa Everywhere podcasts. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Invite friends to join the party. We're putting videos out there now on TikTok, Iowa Everywhere. Videos also on the YouTube Shorts. So if you feel like it, please give those a thumbs up. That keeps us going, keeps us motivated. We are back Wednesday. We hope you are too.